It's 2021, and that means whenever an attractive person simply exists or a fictional character is created that looks good, there is massive outrage over unrealistic body standards and people being objectified. And as a woman, I like to see attractive video game characters. I do not get offended and boycott games simply for developers making characters look good. But of course, there's a group of people on the internet that hate good-looking females, and now they're attacking a new game with an attractive character. But before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or supporting via memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So, we're going to start off with this article that's by Sankaku Complex, and then we're going to move into a bit of a video that's been shared around the internet. It says, ResetEra despises Project Eve's main sexy heroine. Of course, it always boils down to ResetEra making a big deal over fictional characters. So, ResetEra, a hive of politically correct degeneracy that a lot of video game developers strangely consider the quintessence of taste, has been aghast at the male gaze present in the latest trailer for Project Eve, calling out their hatred for the main female character's design, even though several commenters in the thread really liked the game. I personally live streamed the Sony presentation event where this was shown, and I actually think that this game looks really good so far, and the characters look amazing. You are not telling me that this character does not look good. I mean, the lighting against her, the hair, the body, I mean, the outfit, she just looks really, really good. It says a new trailer was unveiled at the most recent PlayStation showcase, and while the denizens of ResetEra mostly had positive opinions for the title, there were naturally quite a few individuals whining about the male gaze and complaining about the sex appeal of the main character, even though she is wearing an all-encompassing bodysuit and the shots of her breasts and bottom were minimal. They are complaining about absolutely nothing. She looks great. She doesn't have over-exaggerated body proportions. She is in a full bodysuit. Okay, there is nothing to complain about when it comes to this character. She looks great. There's nothing wrong with her. But of course, the internet is the internet, and there will always be people who are gonna complain about it. Somebody said, who are those ass shots and boob jiggles for? Jiminy Jesus, probably for the adults playing this game. I mean, that would be my assumption. Somebody said, looks real good besides the tight latex and butt moves. Can't wait to see more. Indeed, the monster designs felt right out of Bayo, and I love it. Does it really matter if she's in a tight suit? I mean, what do you expect her to be in? A loose pair of sweatpants and a sweatshirt? I mean, clearly she's a hero in a fictional world. We're not talking about a real person here. We're talking about a video game character. A commenter said the character design is terrible. She looks so generic, straight from a Korean MMO. Another person said more like Project Male Gaze. Another person said the action and enemies looked kind of cool. The male gazy camera angles, far less so. Pretty embarrassing. There were minimal shots of her body, just focused on her body, like her boobs and her butt. There was very minimal camera angles like that in this trailer. This trailer was a very impressive trailer, actually. And now I want to head on over to a Twitter post that was made by Yogensha, someone who is part of our community. They had said Digital Foundry, or specifically Alex, being offended by a woman being too sexy for a modern era in a Korean game is hilarious, were it not so sad. A sign of the Western gaming industry's thinking, slight cringe warning. It's about 39 seconds long, so I'm just gonna play it.
For that. The one thing, I know you were talking about the character from a bygone era.
A character from a bygone era, he says.
Do you think the character model was actually like very distracting in not a good way? Because
it was very distracting and not in a good way. You're telling me a beautiful character is too distracting in a bad way? That's absolutely ridiculous.
it's like with the camera angles chosen, it just felt like this game seems like a game that came out in like 2002 in terms of its, like character design.
Where has this guy been since 2002? Does he not pay attention to video games or anime? What kind of idiotic statement is that? There have been so many attractive characters that have come out over the years. We are talking about 2021 versus 2002. You're trying to tell me, oh, this feels like an outdated character design just because she's attractive?
It's like a bit old and not flattering, I don't think, for a modern audience. In comparison to something like Forspoken, which has, yes, it has a much more realistic looking character designs.
He is trying to say this design from Project Eve is worse than this design from Forspoken. I'm sorry, I completely disagree. I am not a fan of the character model in Forspoken. Obviously, the game is about more than just the character design, but this character does not look better than the one in Project Eve. That is for sure.
It's not these hyper-proportioned something or another's, but it also seems,
oh no,
I don't know, a bit more grounded in a way that I found much more appealing.
He's complaining about it not being realistic enough. Why do these characters have to look realistic? We are talking about a video game with fictional characters. These are fictional women. You don't have to worry about looking at a butt or a boob shot because they're not real people. This guy is trying to say that beautiful characters are too distracting in a bad way, which I completely disagree with. I do not think that characters have to look realistic, that their proportions have to be accurate to a real woman's. I think that this character in Project Eve looks really, really good. This character is perfectly fine. I mean, she's in a full bodysuit. She doesn't have over-exaggerated body proportions. The only thing here is that, yes, the trailer does have a few close-up boob and butt shots, but that's it. We're not talking about a giant amount. We're talking about just a couple. This reviewer for Digital Foundry is allowed to dislike the design if he wants to, but for someone who supposedly is part of the video game industry, he's acting like he hasn't played a game since 2002 because he tries to say it's a design pulled straight out of that time period. This character looks great. The visuals of this game look great. If he wants to look at The Last of Us 2 Abby's all the time, that's his choice, but to use the she doesn't look realistic argument is really foolish. And I wanted to go down to the comments really quickly because a lot of people have opinions on his statements, and Yog actually shared another screenshot from him, and he said, interesting to see how many commenters are highly invested in the story and cultural reasons for the main character's design in Project Eve, a game whose trailer had 3 slow-mo crotch/butt shots in the first 24 seconds. Yeah, people are allowed to be invested in a story just because a trailer highlights a character's physical features. Is it really that big of a deal? Somebody said Project Eve, the character model is very distracting and not in a good way, but Forspoken has a much more realistic looking character design, exactly what I said. Somebody commented, this is the character he's getting offended by, a character he says isn't too flattering and too sexy for modern audiences. Is this really the mindset of Western audiences, or is this just a crazy and vocal minority? I obviously can't speak for everyone, but I really like this design, and I personally think that it looks really good. Of course, we're going to have people in the gaming industry who are going to say, oh my gosh, these developers created such a bad design. How could you objectify a woman like that? We are going to see a lot of outrage over this game, guaranteed, because we already are, but I personally think that it looks really good. Someone said, why am I not surprised? Modern audiences equals perpetually offended social media fundamentalists. I was really impressed with the initial trailer, so I can't wait for this game to release to see if it's as good as we're hoping it's going to be, so we can prove these complainers wrong, that it's not just about the way the character looks, it's about the story, it's about the atmosphere, and it's also about the gameplay. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way. But I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.